In the heart of an ordinary American city, the wheels of justice turn daily, unnoticed by most. But on this particular morning, an encounter at the courthouse doors would challenge everything we think we know about power, race, and the law. The officer on duty sees his role as straightforward: secure the courthouse, screen everyone who enters, and ensure that order is maintained. But what begins as routine quickly veers into an exchange that defies explanation. The officer stops a black woman at the door, questioning her intentions for entering. To him, she's an unfamiliar face, one that doesn't immediately fit his assumptions about authority or power. Unaware of her role within these very walls, he begins to question her legitimacy, his tone growing firmer. The woman remains calm, quietly asserting her right to proceed. What happens next will not only shock those present, but ignite a conversation across the country. This moment is not isolated. For generations, race has shaped the way authority is perceived and exercised, especially in spaces meant to uphold justice. The courthouse, a symbol of equality under the law, has too often been a stage where bias and power collide. Why did this officer stop her? What assumptions were at play? And what does it reveal about the invisible barriers that still exist within systems designed to be fair? This story isn't just about a moment of misunderstanding or misplaced authority. It's about the ripple effects that such moments create, sparking questions, igniting debates, and forcing us to confront the uncomfortable truths about the systems we trust. It's 8:15 a.m. The courthouse is already alive with activity. Lawyers rush in, clutching briefcases and papers. Jurors trickle through security, many glancing nervously at their phones. Amid the bustle, Officer Daniel Hughes, a seasoned deputy with 15 years on the force, stands at his usual post near the main entrance, watching over the flow of people. Today is just another day for him, or so he thinks. Across the street, Judge Vanessa Cole, dressed in her favorite navy blue pantsuit and carrying a slim leather briefcase, exits her car. She's confident but focused, her mind running through the long docket awaiting her inside. As she approaches the courthouse, she joins the stream of people heading toward the entrance, blending in with the crowd. But unlike the others, her presence is about to provoke an unexpected reaction. Officer Hughes notices her. She's unfamiliar, someone he hasn't seen before. His training has taught him to identify patterns, to notice when something feels out of place. And in that moment, he decides to act. "Excuse me, ma'am," he says firmly, stepping forward to block her path. Judge Cole looks up, surprised but composed. "I need to see some ID." His tone is professional but edged with authority, the kind of tone that implies compliance is not optional. Judge Cole instinctively reaches for her badge. She's been through security hundreds of times, often without incident. But today feels different. She hands over her ID, offering a polite smile. "Here you go, officer. I'm Judge Cole. I'm presiding over a case this morning." Officer Hughes glances at the ID, his brow furrowing slightly. It's a valid badge, but something doesn't sit right with him. He hesitates, then looks back at her. "You're a judge?" he asks, his tone slightly skeptical. Cole nods. "Yes, I've been on the bench here for 3 years." For a moment, there's silence, the kind of silence that draws the attention of nearby onlookers. People begin to slow their pace, their eyes darting toward the interaction. Judge Cole stands tall, calm, but aware of the mounting tension. Meanwhile, Officer Hughes seems to weigh his options. Should he let her pass or dig deeper? Finally, he makes his decision. "I'm going to need you to wait here for a moment," he says, stepping back and signaling to another officer nearby. Judge Cole's smile fades. "Is there a problem?" she asks, her voice still measured but tinged with irritation. "I'm already running late for court." The second officer approaches, exchanging a quick glance with Hughes before addressing Cole. "Mom, we're just following protocol. This won't take long." Cole sighs, knowing all too well what's really happening here. She's seen it before, experienced it before. But this time, it's happening to her in a place where she's supposed to hold the highest authority. As the minutes tick by, the crowd around them grows. Whispers ripple through the gathering onlookers, some recognizing Judge Cole, others merely curious about the delay. Meanwhile, Cole remains composed, though her patience is visibly wearing thin. She finally speaks up. "Officer, I've shown you my ID. If there's no legitimate reason to hold me here, I'd like to proceed to my courtroom." Officer Hughes, sensing the growing tension, finally relents. "Fine, ma'am. You can go," he says, his voice quieter now, almost uncertain. Cole takes her badge back, nodding curtly before stepping past him and into the courthouse. But the damage has been done. The murmurs of the crowd follow her through the doors, and the weight of the moment lingers long after she's gone. This interaction, brief as it was, would soon spark questions far beyond the courthouse walls. Questions about authority, assumptions, and the lines that are too often drawn based on nothing more than skin color. But what happened after this encounter would leave an even deeper impression on everyone involved and on the system itself. To truly understand the significance of that moment at the courthouse doors, we need to look back to the lives of two individuals whose paths converged that day. Officer Daniel Hughes and Judge Vanessa Cole. Daniel Hughes grew up in the small town of Ridgely, a place where traditions ran deep and change came slowly. His father, a retired police officer, often spoke of honor and duty, values Daniel absorbed early on. After high school, he joined the police academy, eager to follow in his father's footsteps. By the time he was stationed at the downtown courthouse, he had built a reputation as a diligent officer, known for his strict adherence to rules. But there was another side to Daniel's story, one less visible but no less impactful. Growing up in Ridgely, his interactions with people of other races were limited. His community was predominantly white, and his worldview was shaped by the stories he heard and the experiences he lacked. Implicit biases, though never openly acknowledged, seeped into his understanding of people and the world around him. To Daniel, his actions at the courthouse were just part of his job, enforcing security protocols. But to others, those actions reflected something far more systemic, a pattern that had played out countless times before. Vanessa Cole's journey couldn't have been more different. Born and raised in the bustling city of Brookhaven, she grew up surrounded by diversity, but also by stark reminders of inequality. Her parents, both educators, instilled in her a deep respect for knowledge and justice. They often spoke about the civil rights leaders who had paved the way for her generation, and Vanessa took their words to heart. As a young girl, she excelled academically, but even in her successes, she faced challenges. She vividly remembers a teacher doubting her ability to join the debate team, suggesting she might feel more comfortable in another extracurricular activity. Vanessa proved him wrong, not only joining, but becoming one of the team's most formidable speakers. These moments of subtle and overt discrimination fueled her determination to succeed in spaces where she wasn't expected to thrive. After earning her law degree from one of the country's top universities, Vanessa began her career as a public defender, working tirelessly for those who couldn't afford proper representation. Her empathy and fierce advocacy didn't go unnoticed, and within a decade, she was appointed as a judge. By the time she arrived at the downtown courthouse 3 years ago, she had built a reputation for fairness, intellect, and an unwavering commitment to justice. And yet, nothing had prepared her for what she encountered that morning with Officer Hughes.